One thing about Open the Floodgates that occurred to me as I was creating it is it felt really good to smash things, and there's certainly a feeling of, emotional release and being cathartic about smashing things. I get really good at smashing things, and now whenever I see pottery or clay, it's like, be careful because I want to come and smash it. It was fun. I'm Amy Funderburk, and I was very honored to be the recipient of the Pamela Howland Independent Artist Fund in the category of innovative and interdisciplinary art. I've been an artist all my life. It's really important to continue to have grants such as this to help inspire artists and fund their innovative ideas. I received this grant for the painting installation called Excavations. It's a series of hidden emotions that are a result of my own personal healing journey, of literally excavations of feelings that I was not consciously aware of holding on to. And this grant really came at the perfect time for me because I was honored to have a solo show coming up at SECA. But unfortunately, the space I was assigned at that time was not conducive to the painting installation I had been working on. I needed to come up with an entirely different body of work, an entirely different direction. That particular space had a lot of sunlight and shadows, and that really lent itself to my creative process of thinking, okay, how can I work with this? Instead of it being a negative, how can I turn it into a positive? And that not only gave rise to my ideas for a couple of found object installations, but the flagship piece, Excavations, lent its name also to not only the show, but this entirely new series. There are fake happy face curtains in front of each. They're identical. I wanted those happy faces to play with the idea of there's no such thing as perfect. I made it a point to use Photoshop to do a lot of retouching and correcting, but then I had it printed on a fuzzy fabric. And so there's imperfections that ended up getting printed on this perfectly retouched photograph. And then to just tack it up there rather than perfectly sew it on, it's almost like the mask is slipping. Each participant is invited to pull on the cord to raise up each curtain to reveal the emotion within. I want each person to come to it and have an opportunity to assign their own, project their own feelings onto each painting before I tell you that to me it was rage or sorrow or depression or what have you. After you look at each painting, each person is invited to pick up a small, smooth stone that I gathered from Topsail Island, have the opportunity to feel the weight of emotion of whichever painting called to them the most, and then release it by placing the stone on the floor and walking away. That particular iteration of that idea is boundaries cornered. The radius of the circle is 90 inches, and then the mirrors on each wall in the corner are 90 inches tall and wide, and it creates the full circle. And I just recently realized how the segmentation of having all the different mirrors echoes the segmentation of the different panels in the Excavations painting installation. And so that must have been something subconscious on my part. But one of the mirrors that we found, it looks like it has a bullet hole in it. So that and the inclusion of a broken mirror represent how in the past, maybe your boundaries have been violated. And that's the damage or the battle scars of having your boundaries violated. The origin of the 90 inches measurement is from me sensing, if I close my eyes and my husband would back away, 90 inches was where I could no longer feel him within my energy field. The other found object piece is called Open the Floodgates. The table we found and completely repurposed. Inside, there's a tension bar that holds the roll of mulberry paper. And as people write their feelings on it in a watercolor marker, and it gets pulled down the semblance of a dry riverbed over the course of the exhibit, the paper looks like water spilling out onto this dry riverbed. As you release your emotions, it comes spilling out, opening the floodgates. So the riverbed was a tremendous amount of fun to do because you never knew what you would find. Originally, my main priority was terracotta so that I could break it, and I wanted it to look like the dry riverbed here in North Carolina with the red clay. When there's been a drought, you know how the clay will crack. There is an invitation for people to consider stuff in their lives, what's symbolic of their life. In my earlier work, I would structured in how I wanted or hoped that people would perceive my work. And I used to write up these definitions of all the symbolism and so forth. Now it's just, well, whatever you come to with the piece. So those are my associations or what I got out of generating the piece. But by all means, whatever someone comes to it with, I embrace that. I hope to keep my narratives very open-ended on purpose so that each viewer becomes a participant, that they can project their experience, their feelings onto each piece. If I never had another show or never sold anything else, I'd end up with a lot of artwork. I would do it anyway because I'm called to do it. I would hope to be a way shower in some way or another, in the best way that I can serve through my art. So I can't imagine a future in which I stopped showing my work or presenting it to the public in some form or fashion. With the help of this grant, that's the first time I'd ever worked in such an interdisciplinary fashion. I've done photography since college. This integrated my photography through having my photograph printed on the fabric. It really brings in a lot of the ideas that I've had in other areas of my life and started incorporating them into my painting, which is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And so this was a wonderful opportunity to really expand what I do and how I do it.